Hello, everyone. So I was just reading the um, instructions here about the chat. Um, anyway, I it gets a little tricky for me because I am gonna go back to my mat, so I won't be able to see the chat the whole time. So I will definitely try to come back here in between moves. But I wanted to pop on live because I did a leg workout on, let me think, today is Monday. I did a leg workout on Saturday that involved some squats, some lunges, typical moves that are part of a leg workout. And I have not done legs in this way for a while. If you don't know anything about me or my channel or my life, I am currently about 11-ish months postpartum. And so I've been building back to exercise. I'm super passionate about movement and I make all sorts of videos about it, as you can see if you check out my channel here. But so I've been sort of building back to more of the strength exercises. And let me tell you, when you have not done things like squats and lunges in a while, or maybe you're somebody that's never done them at all and you're learning them for the first time, your bum and your hamstrings and your quads get really, really sore. And that's a part of the process that can be normal. You should never have pain afterwards, but you can definitely have some muscle soreness, which can happen after strength training. And so I was about to, I rolled out my mat and I was about to do some stretching. And I thought, why don't I go live and show what I would do as part of like a lower body stretch? One thing here I did just want to say, sometimes I have heard over the years that stretching doesn't count, it doesn't matter, it's not important, it doesn't count as movement or exercise. And for a lot of reasons, I think it is incredibly important. I was a young athlete and somebody that stretched because that's what my coach told me to do, but I never really believed in the benefit of it. I just did it because I was told to do it. And so then when it came time to be somebody that was exercising on my own without a um without a um sorry about that, without a instructor or a coach telling me what to do, I basically decided, well, I'm not going to, in quotation marks, waste my time stretching. I'm going to just get in there for whatever amount of time I have and work as hard as I can, and that's what counts and that's what matters. And what I did not realize is how important to recovery stretching is and how important to your body in general. So, being able to move in the way that you want to as you get older to maintain that flexibility, to maintain that range of motion, to basically maintain all of the things that you have right now, stretching is hugely critical. And I have figured that out by getting into it on an every single day basis. So, if I do nothing else, whether it's a planned rest day or whether it's a day where it's like, I have 5 kids, so maybe the kids are going bananas, or it's just like there's a lot of things on the schedule and I can't do anything else. I will always find time to stretch, even if it's 5 minutes, because for me, that's a priority. I have seen it increase my flexibility. I have seen it help my mental health as well, because it can become sort of this quiet time. Yes, maybe there's kids climbing on me, but me um it's me taking that time for me to stretch. And then I've also seen it both athletically, like in my athletic performance, whether it's running, walking, jogging, like whatever it is. And for things like pregnancy and labor and delivery, and then the recovery postpartum. So I'm gonna hop back to my mat to do a lower body stretch with you today. Hopefully the sound will be okay. I almost always start in a child's pose just because it's so simple but so effective. So I'm taking my knees out to the edge of the mat and then bringing my toes together. And then I just let my bum come back to my heels. And then I'm gonna carefully kind of just crawl my arms out. And this may be enough for you when you're in this position. If you have the ability to put your head down, you can do that. And I'm gonna keep my head up just to make sure the sound is okay. But the idea is you really wanna think about sinking into that stretch and taking those nice deep 360 breaths. So you wanna do a really big inhale in. You wanna expand your ribs in all directions. That's why it's often called 360 breathing. And then you wanna let your pelvic floor relax. And then on the exhale, it's like you're blowing out hundreds of birthday candles. You think about your ribs knitting back together. Your pelvic floor is coming up and in. And your abs are tightening around you, the deep core layer like a corset muscle. So we're gonna do just a few more breaths like this. So big breath in and a big breath out. So I'm gonna have you do 3 more on your own pace. And I just wanted to share another thing, which is most of my workouts, you can break them up and sprinkle them throughout the day. So if you are a mom, especially if you're a physician mom, but really anyone that is navigating being pulled in many directions throughout the day, it's okay if you find it difficult to find 10 or 15 minutes all next to each other. You can sprinkle these moves. So you can do a child's pose for a minute or two, and then maybe later in the day you do the next move, and that's okay. I recently had a comment on one of my videos that said, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it exactly, but it was something along the lines of, only in America would 1 minute of exercise count as actual exercise. Okay, we're going to switch and then I'll share my thoughts on that. So now we're going to do a hip stretch. So I'm taking my right knee up in a 90 position. So I'm 90 at the knee and 90 at the hip. And then I'm just going to kind of lean into that. And you may be here and that's okay. You can add, lean an inch or two forward. You also want to think about tilting your pelvis forward, like toward the wall in front of you. That will help get that stretch across that left hip flexor area. And then you can also bring your chin to your chest. That's another layer of intensity if you want that. And then you can also take your right arm up and sort of side bend over. And you're going to do that deep breathing here. So keep thinking about the inhale. You're expanding your ribs in all directions. Pelvic floor relaxes. On the exhale, it's audible, like you're blowing out hundreds of birthday candles. Your pelvic floor is up and in. Your abs are contracting around you like a corset. So the response that I put to that comment on the actual video was, it's all about starting somewhere. Because I wholeheartedly believe that. And I think many of my clients, many of my patients over the years have had this barrier of having a definition of exercise that they just could not meet. Like no matter how much motivation they felt that they had, no matter how much inspiration they had. Okay, we're just gonna switch sides. So same thing, 90 at the hip. Now you're gonna lean into it if that feels good. Otherwise, you can just tilt your hips like we talked about, or you can do both. And if this bothers your knee at all, if you're somebody that has like knee issues from time to time, you can always put like a towel, a folded up t-shirt, something like that underneath your knee to help with absorbing some of that pressure on the knee. So this was a common theme that came up where, maybe your definition of exercise is it has to be 30 minutes. I must be super sweaty. And especially as a mom, maybe that feels impossible. Like finding 30 minutes, you're going to have to sacrifice something that maybe you don't want to sacrifice, like sleep or if you are a physician mom and you work full time and it's like you leave before your kids wake up and you're getting home at bedtime, it's this balance of all the things in your life that you prioritize. And so if you have this definition of it has to meet certain criteria and you're not going to meet that criteria, well then I do nothing. It's that all or nothing thinking. Like if I can't meet that definition, then I'm just not going to do it. So why can't 1 minute count as exercise? It absolutely can. And my other argument to that comment is 1 minute is always better than zero. Like I don't see how, if you show up in some way, even if it is only for a minute, you showed up for a minute. Like that's better and more encouraging, and you're excited about things and you're showing up than if you didn't show up at all. So that's kind of just my 2 cents there. I think thinking about how you define exercise is very important, to really sit down and be honest with yourself about that and really think about if that's a barrier for you. Because I know for me, in various different phases of my life, that has 1000% been a barrier, because I would then judge myself and make myself feel bad for not meeting a bar. But then I was also judging myself for doing nothing. So you're like in this rock and a hard place situation. Like maybe if you show up for a minute and let that count and let that be enough, then you can build on it. That builds a foundation. And then maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or 2 months, you're doing 2 minutes or 5 minutes and you're finding pockets of time. It's the getting started part that can be so daunting and so challenging. And once you get started and you start to see what can happen, it snowballs. But to me, it's all about starting somewhere and meeting yourself where you are. Okay, you can tell I'm getting excited about this topic. So now I'm going to go into what's called frog, which can be a little bit of an awkward position to get in. Hopefully you'll be able to see okay. So I'm spreading my knees apart and I have my feet flexed and pointing out. You can see them here. Now, if you are new to doing hip stretching, this may be enough. It may be like, okay, this is really lighting up some things, some muscles that I didn't even know existed. And that's okay, as long as it's not painful. Stretching sometimes, especially a new stretch or stretching an area that you have that's very tight, can feel uncomfortable, but it should never be painful. If you want, you can also get lower down here into this position. And I think my daughter just woke up, so we're gonna have this be the last stretch. She's just happily playing in her stroller, but that probably won't last for too long. So this will be the last one today, but so you can also, put your elbows down to get this stretch in like this. And I will say, as a pregnant or postpartum person, if there is one hip stretch that you would ask me, what should I do? It would be this one, because I think this just allows your hips to open in a way that there's not a lot of other stretches that can do. And again, this is one that the first time I did this, I was like, oh my goodness, my hips are so tight, but I kept showing up. I kept trying and like sitting with that discomfort. Again, never pain, but just sitting with that discomfort of, letting your muscles relax, letting your tendons and ligaments relax. And over time, doing this with regularity, you will start to see changes in things. So definitely subscribe, ring the bell so you never miss a video. I have loads of mom-friendly, doable workouts that are judgment-free, not intimidating, all about meeting people where they are, getting you moving in a way that fits into your everyday life and is sustainable, and makes you feel good about yourself and feel good mentally and physically. And if you happen to be a physician mom that's watching and you're in that, in that phase of life where exercise is almost a word that brings on stress and feels overwhelming, and it's like, how do I fit all this in? How do I do this? What do I do? Where do I start? Can't someone just tell me how to do this? I am definitely the movement coach for you. I will include my link below to get scheduled for a 30-minute movement consult, because in a few minutes a day of consistent movement, you can feel stronger, more confident. You can have time with your kids that is active, but also is making memories, feeling comfortable getting, up and down off the floor with them. You can notice improvement in your sleep, improvement in, how you're fueling your body, all of these things, even with just a few minutes of movement a day. Okay, thanks for watching. And yeah, I will have that link to schedule the free movement consultation. If you are interested in that, I am the movement coach for you. And subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a video. All right, bye everyone.